There is a moment in every reinvention when you realize you can't go back to who you were. For Bianca, that moment came after years in corporate world when burnout and anxiety led her to rediscover her own truth through Rapid Transformational Therapy, RTT. In this episode, we talk about letting go of old identities, healing through hypnosis, and finding new connection that reflect who you truly are. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Software Project. Today, I have a beautiful guest. Her name is Bianca, and her Instagram handle is Soul and Subconscious. She is an expert in RTT, hypnotherapy, and healing. And I have to say, I think we kind of found each other, and we belong to a same community, but I loved her voice. I just find her so calming. And that's why I reached out to her. And yeah, I think actually Bianca shared with me that on her vision board, there was a little bit of commonality that we have, right?
Yeah, I know. I can't believe that. I literally have her softness is her power in the middle of my vision board. Like, yeah, this is the perfect podcast for me to be on.
Absolutely. I think we found each other. Somehow universe is putting us together. Yeah, I cannot actually wait to jump into the conversation because, honestly, before meeting you, before listening to your recording, I don't know much about hypnotherapy. And once I heard a recording, I actually did it twice. I have so many questions, and I think it's a topic worth talking about and really worth this education. But before that, I guess I wanted to know a little bit about your reinvention journey and what kind of led you to the RTT.
Yeah, of course. So I have always worked in corporate, in advertising as an account manager. That's been my career really for the last nearly 10 years. So I worked in London and media agency, and then I moved to Barcelona 7 years ago. And I've worked at different startups based here. And I enjoyed it, but I never really felt like it was my thing, to be honest. It was
Mm-hmm.
always felt like I was kind of squeezing myself into a bit of a box. As it can be also quite a cutthroat environment working in media. And yeah, I found that quite hard and quite stressful. So I always had this feeling deep down that I was meant to do something different. I've always been super interested in spirituality and in psychology and in really supporting people and helping them. And so I began that journey properly about 5 years ago in 2020. I think the pandemic was a real catalyst, or it helped sort of accelerate me on my journey to sort of really think to myself, okay, what do I want to do with my life? And it was in October 2020, actually, that my mum found RTT, and she took a screenshot of like I don't know if it was an ad or a post or something that she'd seen talking about RTT, and she sent it to me and she was like, oh, Bianca, I think you'd be really good at this. And I remember looking at it and being like, oh, wow, actually, yeah, this looks amazing. Like, this sounds perfect for me. RTT is Rapid Transformational Therapy, which obviously I'll explain a little bit more about. But it's an amazing type of therapy that kind of blends psychotherapy and hypnotherapy, and it's all about going deep. And I'm a really deep person. I'm the kind of person that always wants to find out why we are the way we are and what's the root of something. So I looked into RTT a little bit more, and I thought, oh wow, this is right up my street. And I did even do a kind of call with the applications team, and I thought about starting the course, but something within me was just sort of like, no, I think I'm not quite ready. I was 27 at the time, so I felt like I needed a little bit more time to, a bit more life experience, I suppose, in a sense, before I started that training. So I ended up doing a series of other amazing trainings over the last 5 years, like spiritual life coaching and meditation and mindfulness and yin yoga
Mm-hmm.
therapy, body work, which I loved all of these. And then ultimately, it was last year, in my corporate career, it kind of hit. I'm trying to think of what the right word is, but I kind of hit a point where I experienced burnout from kind of squeezing myself into that box and keeping up
Right.
with this extremely fast-paced environment I was in. And
Mm.
I experienced really bad anxiety and burnout, and ended up having to take some time off work to just look after myself. And
Yeah.
ultimately, I left the job, um, and have since sort of taken time out to really think, okay, I want to feel like I'm doing something that's truly aligned with me, and it sort of seemed like the perfect time to actually do the RTT training. So I began that this year in January, and it's
Right.
been incredible. I mean, I'm absolutely so pleased. I'm so grateful to myself
Mm.
for just taking the plunge and doing it, because it's something like I said, I'd been thinking about for 5 years, and I was always waiting for that right moment. And then suddenly it kind of felt like, right, this is the time now. I've got the time, I've got the mental energy as well, because I've not been doing my previous job. So I could properly dedicate myself, my time and my energy
Right.
to the course. And it's been brilliant.
Mm. And I want to just ask you a little bit about you talked about how you felt like in a corporate life you had to fit into this box. And you are a very deep person. You ask about the whys. What are the other qualities that you felt like that was authentically you, but it didn't really belong to the corporate world?
For sure, my sensitivity. I I have been told more than 2 or 3 times in my life, like, Bianca, don't be so sensitive in the corporate environment, I actually remember being told that in my first job when I was in London. And, it's just it's hard for anyone coming out of university adjusting to the work life and kind of getting into that routine and really thinking, all right, this is what life is all about. And I did definitely struggle with that transition as well. And yeah, I experienced various situations through that job where I felt like, yeah, I couldn't really be myself, because I always had to be almost more aggressive. And that was kind of expected of me, to be more cold and more aggressive in that line of work. And I've always just been about wanting harmony, and been very much about relationships. And yeah, I felt like those skills, those parts of me were not really like super welcome. It was all about just sort of, obviously it's all about making money, and it's all about kind of making the client happy. And if that means that you have to sort of put somebody else down in your team, or play
Mm.
office politics, then that's the way it is. And I never felt like I was really one for office politics at all. So yeah, I did get told quite a few times, not just in that job, but in other ones, Bianca, don't be so sensitive. Don't take it so seriously. Like, it's just a job, but I really care about people. And I don't know, it felt like, okay, I'm not really in the right place for me, you know.
Hmm.
Actually, I remember in my last job being told by my boss that I should be more arrogant. Can you believe that? Actually
Goodness.
told me to be more like arrogant, more aggressive, basically. And I was just like, okay, this is not a match. I'm not going to do that. And he was like, but sometimes you've got to be. And I just thought, okay, no, this isn't right for me.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I completely understand. I really resonated with that. I've been told that, Sherry, you're too nice, or you're too
Mm.
kind, or you're too generous, as if those are awful qualities in a
Yeah.
corporate environment, right? I think every time I would hear that, and I get so frustrated because what are you talking about? Like, why is that such a negative thing to own? So I completely understand, but it's still so incredibly, it's so weird just to hear that. But I mean, for you to actually just really coming to terms and say, okay, this is not for me. I really need to just move on or find my own path. I think it took so much courage because it's not easy, right? Because you had steady income, talking about
Absolutely.
that, that's, yeah. So
Yeah.
what happened, or was there any particular incident that made you kind of made that decision for yourself?
It was a build up for sure. I mean, I think, like I said, really from the beginning of my career, I felt like, okay, this
Yeah.
isn't really the right thing for me, but I didn't really know what else to do. I didn't have a clear idea. And of course, yeah, I needed an income, I needed stability. All my friends at that point after university, they'd all moved to London. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do that too, because that's where my friends are and that's what people do. So I did. And I found myself in the advertising industry. And then I moved to Barcelona because I quickly realized London actually was not for me. Yeah, not my vibe. Very stressful, very chaotic, very very fast paced. So I thought, okay, I need more nature in
Hmm.
my life.
Yeah.
I need more sunshine. So I moved to Barcelona. And then during my jobs here, I've progressed in my career, which has been, it's great. But I felt like I became good at my job because I had to be, I felt like
Hmm.
I learned how to be good at my job. It wasn't like coming really naturally to me. That's what I mean,
Right.
like when I say I felt like I had to put myself into a box.
Mm.
I quickly realized,
Hmm.
okay, this is how I need to be in order to progress.
Mm.
So I learned how to do that. I learned how to please my boss, my clients, the people around me, to do well from the outside. And I did climb the ladder, let's say, and experience success. And that was rewarding on one level. But I think deep down I was like, but this isn't really like who I am, and this isn't going to be able, I can't do this forever because this isn't feeding my soul. So I think it was a very much a build up in the background, but I didn't really have a clear idea of like what should my next step be. I felt like, oh, I have to go back to education. Should I go back to university? Should I study psychology? But then, of course, it's just such a big leap to make. And also with me living abroad, I already have a bit more of a complicated situation in the sense of I don't have family around me. I'm constantly navigating things in a different culture and a different language. It makes it even more scary, I think, to make those changes because I worked so
Yeah.
hard for the stability that I have here that it became very, very scary to just be like, oh, okay, to quit my job and to throw myself into something else when it took me years to just find my feet and feel like I could probably call Barcelona home. So yeah, it was very much a build up, but I felt that I was struggling a lot with the stress of my in my previous role, and it was building up in the background, and from the outside no one could tell. I was very good at masking that and looking like I had it all together and I was absolutely fine. And then last year there was just a series of experiences at work that
Hmm.
led me to a point where I thought I just felt like I literally can't give anymore. I I
Yeah.
I, I felt like I was being pushed for more and more, and I felt like I have given everything I can, and it was almost like I was just so exhausted, and then being asked for more beyond what I'd done, it kind of tipped me over the edge, and I just thought I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel seen for who I am or really kind of understood. And I've sacrificed a lot. And I think I've actually just sacrificed enough, to be honest, at that point. And
Yeah.
it was very much like a physical thing for me because I've been thinking for a while, I've got to move on. I've got to find something that lights me up and energizes me, not just takes energy from me. But I couldn't give up. It was like I felt so bad because I had a team of people. I didn't want to leave them. I felt so responsible. I'd been at the company for over 4 years. So I played an important role in the company as it was very small. And it just felt very scary to sort of leave that. But then, yeah, eventually I reached the point where it was like my body said no. And it was like, Bianca, you
Yeah.
need to rest. You need to look after
Mm.
yourself. Enough is enough. And that began a whole other journey for me, which was extremely scary, honestly, because I had to then learn to advocate for myself and be like, kind of put my hand up and be like, I'm struggling, I need support. And I'd never really done that before. So it was a big sort of lesson for me in learning how to stand up for my health, for my needs, yeah. So that it kind of was very much a slow build up, but eventually I felt like there was just no other choice and I had to release control and trust that this was, that following my heart, listening to my body was the right thing to do, and it
Right.
would all become clear.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to highlight that. I think a lot of people still consider that when we go through transformation or reinvention, it's because we couldn't reach a success or we couldn't achieve something. Actually, it's the opposite. I think a lot of times, like yourself, you actually achieved great success. And from the outside, it's great. You have it all. But I think it's because of, like what you said, it's you know what roles you have to play. So it's almost like, I felt the same. I was playing different characters, you know, at,
Yeah.
as a leader, I was playing leader. As a staff or managing up, I was playing this really a good staff and good employee. And, you're playing different roles, but I think
Hmm.
at a point you really reached just your capacity and you can no longer play those roles anymore. You're just going to have to like reset everything. And I
Yeah.
think for myself, I also had to really understand how do I advocate because I'd never done that before either. And
Mm.
actually speaking up for yourself when you have never done it and no one knew that's in you, that was really scary.
Yes.
So, and I really wanted to talk a little bit about just this journey for yourself. Again, like it's incredibly courageous just to reset and taking this completely uncertain path. I think people think about, yeah, you reinvent, you gain a lot, you go back to your authentic self, but there are tough moments because you're shedding a lot of things. And when it comes to shedding, you lose some things as well. And I think we kind of had this private conversation a little bit about that. So I'm just wondering, like, for you, what was that like when you're shedding? What are the things that you lost in order to gain
Mm.
your authentic self?
Wow. Yeah, like you say, I think it happens on different layers. It's kind of like you lose this version of yourself that you've been playing, this role, like you were saying before, which even if it doesn't feel like the true you, you've also become somewhat attached to it because that's given you security and that's what people know you as. So there's a kind of loss of self somehow happening in this process, but at the same time, your authentic self, your true self also has more space to come out. So I feel like there's that and loss of control about how other people view you. I think that's really tricky
Mm,
too, because when you're changing and you're going through a transformation and you're trying to discover who you are, you also feel very fearful of judgment from other people and like, what are they going to think of me? And I remember that so much last year when I went on medical leave for some months because of the stress and the anxiety and the burnout I had. And I was so scared, like, oh my gosh, what are people going to think of me? They had no idea I was suffering. So they probably just think I've just disappeared. But actually, like, I would never just drop and leave for no good reason. And so it's that kind of fear of judgment. And then I think as you like then step into this new version of yourself, or as you're discovering who that is, then that naturally also impacts your relationships in your life, right? Because some people have this idea of who you are, and then you kind of are starting to become this other version, and that might not be what they want. That can I think trigger people or confuse people, and it impacts your friendships and it impacts your relationships because how can it not? Like if you're going through such a deep transformation and shift within yourself, then it is mirrored in so many other relationships around you and aspects of your life. So I definitely feel that I have, yeah, and really sadly and unfortunately, like drifted away from quite a lot of people. And I haven't always felt super supported or accepted maybe by some people who I really thought I would feel that from.
Hmm.
I know that there's a myriad reasons why people behave the way they do, and we all have our own complicated lives and experiences. But yeah, I think there's definitely been a shift in that, and I felt a lot of loneliness. So I guess that's been a loss. Like you lose your previous network in a sense, especially like for me leaving my job. I had a great network of people there too, and then I sort of stepped away and I was like, oh, I'm on my own. I've got to figure out, it's up to me now to figure out my next steps. So yeah, I found the journey very lonely, actually, to be really honest with you. And that's very, very difficult, but it kind of
Hmm.
feels like that is the price you have to pay to carve out your path, and
Hmm.
find your way.
Yeah. Yeah, I resonate with that 100%. I remember, I think a month after leaving my job, and like yourself, I had a team and it felt great. Everyone's so supportive. And I'm not definitely not blaming them at all because they have their life, they're living their life. But it just felt like, wait a second, like I've lost like 10 or 20 people that I talk to on a daily basis. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
they're gone. And it's not like they don't care about me just because I don't belong in that life anymore and they don't belong in my life. And I think I lost a lot of friendship as well. I had to really reset a lot of friendship or just set boundaries. And yeah, it is a very, very lonely journey.
Yeah.
But, when we think about, going on this path, we want to find our authentic self. But in order to actually find our authentic self, I think this is just part of the course, right? You kind of had to go through
Yes.
this. Yeah.
Definitely. I think you have to have that time alone as well, in a way. Yeah, it has to be kind of a part of that journey. It's almost like you have to step out from the crowd, or you have to step out to really sort of look within and have that space to understand, okay, who am I? What do I really want? Yeah, it's very challenging, but I think what I try to say to myself, and what is the truth, what is the case, is that yes, I have felt loneliness, but then I've also created space for new people to come into my life, new connections, and I really feel that, especially through doing RTT, through the course, I have just met so many incredible people who I feel I can have connected with very fast, and we're on a obviously really similar wavelengths, similar passions, similar interests. And I am beyond grateful for the connections I've made through the course and also online through Instagram. I've just met so many women on, maybe they're doing something slightly different, but they also have that passion for personal growth and asking those harder questions and maybe taking a less conventional route in life, and just so many people that I'm really genuinely inspired by. So I try to focus as much as I can on that, but it's true that you can't help but feel that kind of that shift from like who I was this time last year to who I am now is
Oh,
already a
yeah.
big change. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, I still remembered even early this year, I shied away from so many social gatherings because I don't know what to say. I'll
Yes.
catch myself like trying to formulate a speech, these elevator pitch about what I wanted to do. I'm like, I don't have anything, right? I don't know if
Oh
you have
no,
any experience in that.
definitely. I mean, I feel like I've become a bit of a hermit, honestly, in a sense, this last year because yeah, I've been studying and I've been so passionate about what I've been studying, and I've just wanted to absorb
Yeah.
everything. I've just
Hmm.
been it's taken all my energy and I've loved it. And I feel like I've just sort of taken a bit of a step back in a sense, because I've also been at this point where I'm like, oh, I really only want to sort of be around people now that I feel like I can be my true self with, that I can really, like, I don't have to pretend. I'm so sick of pretending, or not that I was a completely different version of myself before, but, I just don't even want to do it a little bit anymore. I'm just like, I
Yeah.
just want to feel completely at ease. And if I don't feel like that, then I'd rather be on my own.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's been a big thing for me this year. I feel like I've become even more sort of selective in a sense about like where I'm putting my energy and what I'm doing. And I'm so grateful because I do have some really amazing friends in Barcelona who have supported me through this change and this transition. So I am very grateful for that. But it's true that I've also kind of found a lot of peace being on my own because
Yeah.
I've almost had to because I've just needed to spend the time alone. I think there's something about like working on something that you feel really genuinely excited about that lights you up. It gives you energy, and it gives you that sense of like inner peace and inner coherence. It gives you life. I don't know how else to put it. So I am continuing to think about kind of what I'd love to meet some people in Barcelona who are interested in similar things too, like the people I've met online. So I'm hoping that I can do that somehow. Maybe I have to create my own group. I'm not sure, or like something like that.
Mm, right. But I mean, what you said, we've both lost a lot of friends in our network,
Hmm.
but ultimately we actually made a lot of rooms for the new connection and the real connection. And I think, myself is the same. Like I set really harsh boundaries now. Like I cannot even do anything that's a little bit outside my, tolerance. I really just want to stay aligned. So if it's not, then I don't even want to spend like a minute on anything that's not really authentic to me. And yeah, and I think this is a beautiful part where we can, start talking a little bit more about RTT. I think for a lot of listeners, if you have never tried hypnosis, or like myself, I had this like stereotype of what hypnosis is. Like watching
Yeah.
a lot of movies back then, you have like the people
Yeah.
get called on stage and you like change
Uh-huh.
your personality and you do something silly. That's what I thought about. But I listened to your recording and I would have to say, I have never been that relaxed. Like physically, just I've
Oh,
never been that relaxed before. And it was so surprising to me. I think in my brain was like, oh my God, like
yeah.
why? Like I feel like I couldn't even move my body. Like my body just doesn't
Mm,
want it to move at all. It's a really interesting experience. So yeah, I wanted to really dive in and learn more about this and why RTT, why is this a therapy that is so aligned with you? And yeah, just teach us more about it.
sure. So I just want to start by talking about hypnosis because of what you just said then. And I think I really do feel that part of my job right now is sort of educating people or helping people understand what hypnosis really is, right? Because it's true, like people think of hypnosis like stage hypnosis or what you see in the movies where, yeah, you lose all control and you start quacking like a duck or I don't know, something ridiculous. Like that is absolutely not the case when we're doing RTT. And I
Hmm.
always remind clients before I start working with them, like of a couple of things, like you will not lose control. You're not going to lose any sense of control at all when we're doing RTT. Okay. You remain in control the whole time. You can open your eyes if you want to. You can get up if you need to go to the loo and in the middle of a session, you can do that. Like you do not lose any kind of control. And really,
Hmm.
hypnosis is the best expectation to have when you experience hypnosis is to just feel really deeply relaxed. It's really like a sleep of the nervous system. So you just should feel really relaxed, really calm, but your mind in many ways is more active, more awake. So the purpose of hypnosis and RTT is to bypass the conscious mind to access the subconscious mind. That doesn't mean that the conscious mind completely disappears. It doesn't. You're still going to
Right.
be able to think, or, you're still going to have that voice in your head, let's say. But through hypnosis and going into this deep state of relaxation, you're activating your subconscious mind. So it's kind of like you're in that state that you could be in just before you fall asleep at night, or just when you're waking up
Right.
in the morning, where you're kind of like half asleep, but you're awake, and you're just feeling really relaxed, yet your body's not fully woken up yet. So that's the purpose of hypnosis and RTT, is to just sort of awaken the subconscious mind. And yeah, like I said, you'll only ever accept suggestions that you want, that are in your best interest. It's impossible to I don't know, say to someone while they're in hypnosis, give me your bank details and, or like transfer me all your savings, or like nothing like that could possibly happen. You have complete control because your conscious mind doesn't just disappear. So yeah, it's important to know that. Yeah, so RTT is Rapid Transformational Therapy. It was created by a lady called Marissa Peer, she's from the UK as well. She was a therapist for 30 odd years or more when she decided to create this particular model of therapy, which basically blends psychotherapy and hypnotherapy. And RTT is very unique modality because it's all about going to the root of your issue. Okay, so that's why hypnosis is a central part of it, because we go to the root by accessing your subconscious mind. Because your subconscious mind governs like 95% of your mental activity every day. It's where like your emotions live, your habits. So it's really kind of like the database of so much of what makes you who you are. So we basically go into the subconscious mind to understand the root of the issue that you're facing. And that would involve like regressing back to scenes, moments, memories of your life where you started to have the feelings or the beliefs that created the issue that you have. So we're going back to those moments. We're feeling what maybe you never dared to feel before, you never fully let yourself feel before, and understanding those beliefs that have created the issue. And then we are sort of, connecting the dots between the past and the present. So we do that together in the session. And then we have various tools to sort of interrupt those outdated, unhelpful beliefs that are not serving you anymore. Because a lot of these beliefs are from our childhood. A lot of them are from when we're very, very young. And we're like helpless, dependent children that are obviously we're just focused on survival. And we
Right.
don't have the ability yet to really rationalize or understand life, as you do as you get older. So we create these beliefs that are usually there initially to help us, but can ultimately hinder us later in life. So yes, through RTT, we understand what those beliefs are, and then we have various tools to sort of interrupt them. Maybe it's inner child healing or talking to the part of you that created the issue. And then we reframe those old beliefs and we create space to wire in new beliefs and feelings that you want to have.
Mm. Mm.
So there's lots of layers to RTT, sort of the uncovering the root, releasing those old beliefs, reframing them, and then rewiring your mind with what you want to think and feel and believe. And that comes through a 21-day personalized hypnosis recording. So after the session, you listen to that for 21 days, which is super powerful. And it really speaks to your subconscious mind using your language and going as detailed as possible to really help you to sort of imagine and to feel the future that you want to have. So there's various steps to RTT, and that's what I love about it, because it's a very thorough process. Like I said before, I love understanding the why. Like, why are we the way we are? Because there is a reason. This is what I've learned through RTT: is there is always a reason, and your subconscious mind contains that answer. contains that reason. So if you can learn how to work with the subconscious and to go back and to find that reason, even just the understanding alone is so powerful. Even just being able to say, wow, this is why I am the way I am, already provides so much relief, right? Even before we've done the releasing and the rewiring, you're already like, finally, this makes sense. This is why I have this phobia, or this is why I've suffered with depression, or whatever it may be. And we can work on a range of emotional and physical issues through RTT. So it can really support a lot of people. And yeah, I just think it's amazing to be able to understand it and then build the person back up and with what they want to think and feel. And I think a lot of it comes down to as well the fact that we have to be consistent and we have to use repetition. That is what rewires our brains. And what we want is available to us, but we do have to put in the work. You know, even though it's called Rapid Transformational Therapy. So people might think, oh, that means all my problems are just solved instantly. No, it's rapid because it gets to the root cause very quickly. But all change requires sustainable effort and commitment. So yeah, it's incredibly layered and beautiful modality. And I truly find that it works in both my experience and with clients.
Right. No, it makes so much sense. And I think I asked you before, so Bianca is actually very kind enough to actually offer our listeners the recording that I actually listened to. So that recording specifically, I think it's like about 15, 20 minutes long. What
Mm-hmm.
part of that would be in your session? I understand, for everyone, this has to be like a very personalized experience. So would you say that
Yes.
recording would kind of represent like the beginning of the journey with you?
So that recording I made, it's a generic recording for anybody to listen to. So that gives you an idea of what the personalized recording can be like, because the personalized recording would be a similar length, and that is what you would listen to for 21 days after the session. But obviously it would be much more powerful because I would be using your name. I would be using details that you'd given me of exactly how you want to feel, whether that's how you want to feel in your body, the thoughts you want to have, how your relationships would show up differently, what you would do differently. We go into as much detail as we can in these recordings because that is what your subconscious mind will respond to because it resonates. And it helps to build pictures in your mind and to create those feelings in your body so that you become more accustomed to feeling them. So yeah, that recording was a generic relaxation to give people an idea of how deep you can go and to also get used to the induction, right? So at the beginning of that, I put on the recording that you need to roll your eyes up, and then you need to do REM, rapid eye movement, which helps to change your brain waves. So when we go into hypnosis, we're trying to go down to the alpha or theta brain waves. And that particular technique is helping your brain waves to change. So you move from beta to alpha or theta, and to get used to that induction. I think that's a great kind of recording for people that are very new to hypnosis and are not quite sure what to expect, and the sort of language that we use, because it's different to meditation, right? It's a lot deeper and it's much more direct. So I think it's a nice way of kind of showing people or giving them a taste of what it could be like to have a recording that you listen to. Yeah.
For everyone who's listening to this now, so don't listen to that when you're commuting. Listen to it before going to bed. And
Definitely.
actually, have you realized that actually you're going to be the inner voice for a lot of your clients going forward?
Yeah, you know what? I received a message 2 days ago, and my friend said to me, like, I just associate your voice with being calm now. So I just I hear your
Yeah.
voice and my body starts to respond because she did a session with me and she has a personalized one, and then
Mhm.
she also has a generic one. And she wants to have another personalized one, which is brilliant. Because now it's like, okay, her body has got used to hearing me. And
Yeah.
so it just starts to relax, which is awesome. I feel very privileged to be that inner voice. Yeah.
Right. No, I think it's beautiful. And it's what's funny is that because I listened to that recording twice and I was going to listen to it again last night, but I was like, you know what? Let me I'm not gonna do that because I was so afraid that in today's interview I would fall asleep because I would hear your voice.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm gonna do that after the interview.
Yeah. No,
Um,
it's so true. It's amazing how quickly your body and your mind learns, you know, if especially it is through repetition, right? So the more you listen to that recording, the easier it will get as well to relax and yeah, and to do everything that it says on it. So I'm glad that it's had a powerful impact at the beginning as well.
that's actually incredibly helpful, and thank you so much for educating everyone what RTT is and what hypnosis
Of course.
is. Yeah,
Mm.
and I want to kind of circle back to what you have on your vision board and how we kind of started and how we connected is this word soft power. And I know that you loved soft power before I even mentioned it because it's on your vision board. So to you,
Yeah.
what is the definition of soft power? Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I've just remembered as well that the first post I made on Instagram this year was me saying, my goal for 2025 is to help people live more softly. So this word soft has been very much a part of my journey the last 10 sort of year or so. I've really connected to it. And I think for me, yeah, when I think of soft power, it's really as simple in the sense of embracing softness, you know. And when I think of softness, I think of sensitivity and I think of kind of slowing down and yeah, a more subtle approach to life in a sense. And I think of it comes down to intention as well. It's like soft power is has an intention of love and compassion and having impact and having creating real change, but just doing it from that place of somewhere deeper, of somewhere more nurturing in a sense. It's really about kind of the power of the pause, you know, or the power of rest, of the power of connecting to those, I suppose, in a way, traditionally more feminine qualities that we all have of softness, but not in a like passive way. I do not see it as passive in any sense. I think that there is so much power that can come from softness, and to be honest, it almost feels like an act of just rebellion, even kind of taking that approach. Because I think today everything is about speed and productivity and like I was saying before, like in so many work environments it's about being a bit cutthroat or a bit aggressive or getting ahead of others and being very much focused on yourself. And I think soft power really invites in that thinking about others more and yeah, acting from that place of kind of compassion and intuition, let's say. Yeah.
Mm, mm. Yeah, that is absolutely beautiful. And I think you really embody that power. I mean, just by really embarking on this uncertain journey yourself, not knowing what's ahead, and you're just carving it out and figuring out your friend group and regaining the network
Yeah.
and friends who are supportive, but in a very kind of quiet way, right? Not in a loud way.
Mm.
You're not out there like shouting at people, "Hey, why aren't you, why don't you support me?" But it's more about really understanding where you stand and setting boundaries. Yeah, to me, that's very, very soft power.
Yeah, I agree. You don't
Mm.
have to be loud or bold or aggressive or have to embody those qualities to be successful and to be powerful, you know? I think there is so much power in the detail and in the subtleties of life. And people feel your energy, you know? You don't have to be yeah, loud and kind of intense about things. I think people feel your energy and feel your intention. I think so much comes back to intention to me. yeah, there is definitely a way to be successful, to have impact, to create change, but in a soft, beautiful, caring, loving way where people feel seen and heard and nurtured and taken care of. And I think that's exactly how I want people to feel when I work with them.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's such a beautiful way to put it. And I felt like it's a best way to kind of wrap up today's interview. I mean, we can talk about this on and on. And I personally still have a lot of questions about RTT. I'm so curious about it, but I will definitely leave your information in the description box so everyone can reach out to you and yeah, be curious about it. Let's
Yeah,
educate each other. Yeah,
absolutely.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sherry. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. And I absolutely love what you're doing. Like I said at the beginning, I feel like the Soft Power project couldn't be a better match for me. And, I just think it's an amazing project that you're doing. And I love that you're spreading the word about soft power and what it is. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.